reality. And I know that a number of fair-minded Georgians have questions about the legislative leave law. And as a result, I believe I have an obligation not to dismiss their concerns, but to be mindful that the consent of the governed is a vital block in the foundation of our government. For these people, their concern for the victims in these cases, I believe, is real. And it's not simply as a prop in a media hit piece or in a campaign ad. Accordingly, I will this week assemble a bipartisan, that means both parties, because I think this needs both parties at the table, advisory group to examine the need for this law and to make recommendations for changes. I will ask this group to look at the practices of other states which have part-time citizen legislatures. This group will consist of legislators, judges, prosecutors, victim advocates, other members of the legal community, and lay people. But let me tell you who need not apply, and that's those who make their living screaming into a radio microphone. I recognize also that my professional work as a practicing attorney for 39 years has contributed to this perception. My criminal defense work predates my election to this position by 30 years. I was hired by criminal defendants before, and I have been hired since. Actually, I'm hired less now than I was before. And I can say, regardless of what has been written, and much of this I can't respond to because the attorneys in here know that we are bound by attorney-client privilege. But I will say this today, that I have never discussed legislative leave with a prospective client, nor have I benefited in any way by the application of this law. However, out of an abundance of caution and because I want to be completely fair with the members of this body, I have decided that from this day until at least those 4 cases that have been covered most extensively have been concluded, that I will accept no new criminal cases. 2 of those cases, as I said, I expect to be completed by the end of June. In taking the actions that I have outlined today, I reiterate that no action I have taken has been illegal, wrong, unethical, or immoral. Because, you know, when I grew up, those were words that you reserved for the worst behavior among us. And now we throw those around every day, flippantly, lightly. But these actions are taken because of my commitment to serve this house with honor and because of the love that I have for this body and its members. I may not agree with you on policy, but I appreciate that you represent Georgians just as I do. Now, I do this fully realizing that this is not going to satisfy everybody. But I'm at a point in life when I've realized that I probably will never be able to do that. Those who choose to use this as a campaign stunt, to launch a campaign for another office, will continue to put themselves ahead of the greater good. Those who would try to disrupt the legislative process in the middle of a session in which Georgians are expecting us to continue our focus on revitalizing rural Georgia, enhancing school safety, and making wise decisions, whatever they may be, which impact their access to quality health care, will not be happy, nor will those who make their living stoking anger and fear in many of our citizens and putting the money they get from that in their pocket. They won't be happy. But as I said, I can't make everybody happy. At the end of the day, regardless of how hard the wind may blow, I have to tell you that I'm the most blessed man I know. I have a job I love, serving a state I love. I have the love of a wonderful, God-fearing woman and children that I love so much and who love me. And I hurt for them because, last week they were out driving in their cars and they got to hear me called on the radio on what was once a reputable radio station as immoral by people who don't even know me. And then they heard me called a scumbag on the radio. I was raised better than that. I may think that, but I'm not going to say things like that about any other human being in public, and nor am I going to be influenced by someone who does that. Which brings me to one other reason that drives this decision. This run will end for all of us at some point. All that will be left is our reputation. After all of the sacrifices to be here and serve, after all the hard work that we put in, after all the inevitable ups and downs, all the bills and all the votes, do you ever stop and ask yourself, what will the reputation that I leave there be? It may not matter to anyone other than your family, but it will be important to them. And that's why I try to be mindful of that reputation each day. Reputations are formed by a lifetime. My own reputation was formed in the community that I live. And yes, it was formed in the courtrooms of North Georgia, where my word was my bond. And it's been formed here. My hope is that they will remember me as having a reputation that had the courage to do the right thing, regardless of where the noise might be coming from. To have the courage to change when necessary, and the courage to do that which is right and not politically popular, and to never weary in well-doing, and to never, ever, ever quit, regardless of how rough the road may be. Now, we got work to do. May God bless you, and may He continue to bless the great state of Georgia.